So there's this narrative going around that NPP has lost the votes of the youth. Do you subscribe?
Well, I think the youth are very quite discerning. They basically the intellectual base of our electoral population is a young people. I don't think it's an issue of whether NPP has lost or NDC has lost the youth. It's an issue of what's relevant to the young people at every particular point in time. So for me, I believe strongly that considering where we are heading towards and the future that the young people are looking forward to, clearly the New Patriotic Party is the one that represents the interests of the young people. And eventually they will take that decision. No young person is permanently, cast in stone for any political party. I disagree with that. I mean, look at all these young people around. I am quite convinced that these are people who make their decisions based on things that they believe are important to them. And the MPP clearly are providing that alternative for them going into the future. So you can be rest assured that the young people are going to be the bedrock of the party going into the future.
Okay, right. But let's talk about the most recent issue, D-Levy, which has been introduced by the current government. Well, I mean, I've seen your stance on it, but just emphasize it for USC.
It's bad. It's bad. I mean, think about it. We were just jubilating some few weeks ago about our currency doing well and fuel prices coming down. The government reduced fuel prices by 8%. And then 2 weeks later, you bring Dwumfour levy, which is increasing fuel by 8.3%. So it's a zero-sum, arrangement, and it's a very worrying situation. Because you see, in this country, what really impacts on prices of goods is the cost of fuel. And so anytime fuel prices come down, we should be happy. But any peswa that is added to fuel pricing is a problem. It's a big problem. Okay,
let's do a bit of comparison. How do you think that the e-levy, the tax, betting tax that we had is any better than the tax, the D-levy that we have today?
If e-levy was any better, Dr.Bawumia and the MPP would not have promised to remove it. We're convinced that e-levy, at the time we are in as a country, wasn't the best for us. And that's why in our manifesto it was quite clear there that we're going to remove it. And both parties agreed on that. And so the worry is the betrayal of trust of the people. Because we all promised the people to remove e-levy. Then you remove e-levy, which is barely 1%. And then you introduce Dwumfour levy, that is bringing, that's about 8 times what e-levy was. It's a complete betrayal of the trust of the people.
Okay, the last one, since we are doing a youth agenda, is the fact that a lot of youth would say, well, I will not follow NPP. The reason is that they always give offices to big people who have been to the UK, to the USA to study. The young people are always neglected by the NPP. How do you respond?
That's not supported by data. Let me put it that way in a nicer way. The NPP and its appointments was about 70% heavy on the young people. I mean, a deputy chief of staff was barely 35 years. 2 of them. Honorable Asensu Boache, Honorable Abujinapo, they were in their 30s when they were appointed. Napaga, who was the first appointed presidential staffer, was about 28 years old. When I was appointed as municipal chief executive, I was barely 28 years old. So it's not supported by fact and by data. The ministers of state, the deputy minister for information, Nana Maduku Aden, was barely 35. Kojo Oponkroma himself was barely in his mid-30s, the time he was minister for information. So the fact is that a lot more young people have and had opportunities in the MPP government than even this current NDC government have had. You see, the issue is, by the time MPP came to power in 2017, you were probably in secondary school. So by the time you got to the university, Kojo Oponkroma, that was some 33, 34 years, or now 30 years, you seem too old. But he was appointed when he was young. You understand? Put yourself in his shoes. You get an appointment at 28. Then 8 years later, how old would you be? You'll be hitting your 40s. So that is exactly how it is. But if you're looking for a government that gave a lot more of opportunities to young people, it was the MPP government. And that's supported by facts.
Okay, because of time, I think I'll
Thank you for having me.